Hello, hello. Welcome back. What is this, episode number 2? It feels like 10
Yeah,
of the $100 million producer. We're just going to sit here and kind of shoot the breeze for 30 minutes of your life. So I appreciate you guys taking a few minutes of your day and joining us. I'm Andrew Cady. If you don't know me, I joined the broker side of the business just about 40 days ago, roughly. From the retail side, I've been in the business for just over 8 years. Hit my first $100 million year in 2020. And that was just me sole producing with a loan officer assistant. And I'm joined by Todd Bitter. Todd is kind of my counterpart on the broker side. You know, it's funny. We've always run in the same circles and we never have actually met face to face, which is hilarious. We both work for the same company now, but Todd has always been like the broker version of what I've done in my business on the retail side. And now we have merged together and we're both on the broker side of the business, working for the same company, doing great things. So I'll let Todd kind of cap that off with anything he's got to say.
Yeah. So I've been in the broker channel now since 2008. I spent 8 months in 2008 on the retail side. And the only reason I did that was because I moved to a new city and the retail side had a lot of little bells and whistles to teach me the lay of the land. And I got the hell out of there as soon as I could and went back to the broker side. I've been in the business 27 years, all of which has been on the broker side, except for about 2 of those years. So I kind of bleed broker through and through. And we finally got Andrew Cady over to the dark side or the light side, however you want to look at it. And, and it's cool. It's cool that, like I said, like he said, we were running in similar circles. Some of our mutual friends would say, like, you guys are like yin and yang and retail and broker. And now we're on the same team. And watch out, world. We're gonna crush it.
Yeah, and we actually get to hang out together at the end of this month, which is going to be super, super cool. We're both going to be in Philly, doing great things, having all sorts of fun. But yeah, for me, I guess, we don't really have topics. So just so you guys know who are watching this, like there is zero script here. But I wanted to kind of walk the road today of what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And both Todd and I are not producing as much today as we were in the past. We have people that produce our loans and we're definitely more in leadership roles now. But in your heyday, Todd, what were you doing to literally go from, 10 million one year to 20 million the next year to 30 million the next year? What does that growth model look like? What kind of effort, what kind of work, what kind of structure goes into that?
I mean, the first thing, the key word is what you just said, structure. You have to have a plan. Now you might try a couple plans and it takes the third one to get it to work, but you have to figure out what your plan of attack is. And once you have that figured out, you got to work it and you got to just stick with it. There's going to be days and weeks where that plan seems like a miserable failure, but then there'll be a week, the next week, where it'll be like a huge success. And that's just part of what we do. Well, there's peaks and valleys in the origination world, but you have to have a plan. You have to stick to it. You have to structure your day, because I see so many people in this business, they get so caught up in the weeds of things, and sometimes the weeds are good to be in. Don't get me wrong. But you have to structure your day. You have to start the day. And I didn't talk about this last time, but I'll say it here. Every night before I would shut down, which was usually really late because I'm a night owl, I would write out on a piece of paper my next day plan. Okay. And every day I started the same thing, clear emails. But even though I wrote it 100, 300 times a year, whatever, I still wrote it down. Clear.
Agreed.
Follow that script. And
yeah, I did the exact same thing. So everybody laughs at me. Everybody, people work from Asana and they work from Monday and all these task management systems. No, you look at my desk, it's a notepad. And I'm telling you, you're a night owl. I'm a morning person. So like, I love going to bed at 9 p.m. Like beautiful. If I can go to bed at 9, be asleep by 9:30, but 4 a.m. I'm up. And like, that's the way I roll. But the very first thing I do every morning is I don't even come into my office. I don't even go to my desk. I have my notepad on my nightstand with my pen, and I leave my phone on my nightstand. So I don't even look at it. and I brew a cup of coffee. I sit down on the couch and I look at yesterday's to-do list and I rewrite yesterday's to-do list for today. And the very first thing that I always write down is emails. And people say, well, that's just stupid. You're going to handle your emails anyways. I disagree. I think there's something about the 2-minute rule. I don't know if anybody's ever read the book where they talk about the 2-minute rule. But if you can get up in the morning and you can conquer 5 to 7 tasks that take you less than 2 minutes, it'll change your mindset for the entire day. If your first task of the day is a project that takes you 90 minutes, your mindset is totally different than if you have 5 to 7 tasks that are simple, that you can knock out, and you can begin to get the mentality of productivity from the very beginning of the day. So for me, like 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., sitting on the couch, I've got an 80-pound labradoodle that's snuggled up on my lap while I drink my cup of coffee and I rewrite my to-do list. And for me, the one thing that I've always done, and you may do the same thing, is if I didn't complete something on yesterday's to-do list, I rewrite it again on today's to-do list. Because if you have to rewrite the same task 7 times, 8 times, 10 times, you're eventually going to get it done because you're sick and tired of rewriting the same damn line over and over and over again.
100%. And that's exactly it. I mean, like you said, for me, it was writing out that to-do list at night right before I went to bed, but it was the same thing. Emails first, but anything that didn't get crossed off the day before, it got prioritized on my list the next day. Because I knew that way, if it was right after emails, hey, these are things I should prioritize because I should have done it yesterday. Now I better do it early today so it doesn't go to the third day. But yeah, it's just, it's structure. And I hear so many people when I talk to loan officers, they'll ask me about it and then they'll say, but you get phone calls in between, you do this, you do that. I'm like, well, of course, but that doesn't mean that I don't constantly look at that list throughout the day. I mean, I might get a little off track because of phone calls that are high level, but it doesn't mean that isn't right there in front of me all day long. And it's the next thing and the next thing. And I found that for the most part, I rarely carried more than 1 or 2 tasks a day over. Rarely, but sometimes it happens.
And if you are, it ultimately just comes down to procrastination. Because yes, in this industry, even when we're closing, 40, 50 loans a month like we used to do, like crazy numbers, I don't care how busy you are, on every single day of the week, there is 10, 15 minutes when your phone doesn't ring and you sit there. And I remember literally sitting at my desk in 2021 and I would have like this 10-minute lull of no phone calls coming in. And I'd be like, whoa, it's silent. But the first thing I would do is I would look at my to-do list and I'm like, what's the next thing I can do? And if I wouldn't have got up in the morning or at night and written that to-do list out, I wouldn't have that instant go back to my next thing. I may have hopped on TikTok on my phone and scrolled a little bit, waited for that next phone call to come in. I may have scrolled YouTube. I'm going to scroll Facebook. Oh, I'm going to like this. You go down that dang rabbit hole of social media and you find yourself avoiding the next phone call versus when you just get a lull in your business, you look at your to-do list and you're like, I'm going to handle that one next. And to me, like, to-do lists are the absolute gold standard of productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And on my to-do list every day was social media. I didn't block out like 2 hours to do social media, but I always wrote it in the margins because what it reminded me of is when I was on hold. Let's say I was on hold with class appraisals, waiting on them to reach out to an appraiser to find something else. So maybe I've got 5 minutes I'm on hold. I would see that social media sidebar there and I would get on Facebook and I would go through and like people's post some stuff myself, just so I wouldn't forget to do it daily. And I'd have people say, how in the world, like you made like 3 or 4 posts yesterday in Facebook groups but you closed 30 loans this month with no assistant. Well, it's because I did it in between the things,
and it was a line item on my to-do list. Like literally a line item on my to-do list is post on social media. Like that's, you have to get so granular with it. And I would add little tasks on there, like little simple things that I knew would only take me 30 seconds. It would only take me a minute. But if I didn't add it, number one, I might forget. But number two, by adding it, And being able to knock one of 12 items off of a to-do list in 30 seconds gives you just such a feeling of success, instant win.
Yeah, those little tasks, like you said, those make you feel more winning than anything else, because when you can look down, you've got 25 things on your to-do list and you've knocked out 12 of them before like lunch, but maybe 12 of them only took you 20, 30 minutes total. It still gives you that. I don't know about you, but it just made me feel like I was accomplishing half my day, even though it was really maybe only a third, because the other stuff was the big stuff, but it just gave me that it gave me the momentum and that mindset of like, I'm on a roll.
Yep.
Later in the day, I hit some things that were like, I should have done this earlier, but still, it's the mindset. It's the attitude of, I'm going to do my day. I'm seizing my day and winning my day, and nothing's going to stop me from doing so.
Yeah. And so I want to ask the question of you, your famous tagline, answer your damn phone.
Yeah.
Break that down, because I think there is far too many up and coming loan officers. I'm not talking about people that are there, that have worked this and now they're like, we're scaling back, I'm setting my parameters. But I've talked to so many loan officers that are doing 4 million a year, and they're like, well, I have boundaries set where I am not contacted before 9 a.m. and I am not contacted after 4:30 p.m. So break down, answer your damn phone.
Yeah. So, and I love that question, because you're the first person ever asked me to break it down. So first of all, it's a mindset. I want it to be as literal as possible, but I cannot answer my phone 24/7 and never miss a call. It's just impossible. Okay. But it's a mindset. And the mindset is that I'm going to do everything in my power to answer every call possible. And I truly believe it. You have to believe in what you say. You can go out there and say crazy taglines all day long, and if you don't live it, breathe it, and sleep it, and eat it, you're not going to be successful with it. I just had a group at UWM for the success track, and Matt Ishbia's former teammate on the Michigan State basketball team. Mateen's one of their big coaches there at UWM. And I knew what he was going to tell at the end. He says it every time, just like I say, answer your damn phone. He says, get your mind right and your grind tight. Almost the same. It's way different than answer your damn phone, but it's the same concept. You got to get in that mindset that you're going to grind it out. I'm going to answer every call that comes in on this thing that I can. And when I can't, because I'm on the phone with a customer, I'll at least shoot them a text right back. Hopefully they're calling me from a mobile and they get it. I'll at least shoot a text back, and not one that comes through instantly, so it's canned. I would type out a text and say, on the other line, call you back soon. And I purposely would leave it like that, where it wasn't perfectly, the perfect canned answer. So they know, hey, he really did see this. It wasn't that auto system that fires off. And then that way it would save them from maybe leaving a voicemail, or maybe going to the next person. They're like, okay, he's got me. He's going to call me back in a few minutes. But it's just the mindset that I work when you work. My realtors work weekends and nights. If I'm not willing to be available when they need me, then why would they use me? I mean, if my landscaper wants to show up at 3 a.m. and blow everything off and trim I'm not using them, because I don't want somebody in my yard at 3 a.m. So he needs to be here when I need him here. Same thing with the guy that washes my car. Don't come here at 10 o'clock at night. Come here during the day. So I need to be there when my realtors need me, which is nights and weekends. I mean, come on, guys. It takes a minute to answer a phone. Maybe you're on the phone for 10, 12 minutes with that realtor on a Sunday afternoon. But that 10 or 12-minute phone call might be a $5,000 check in your pocket at the end of the month.
And it might be $50,000 over the course of 2 years, because that realtor might be calling you because you may be their number 2 lender, and their number 1 didn't answer the dang phone.
I don't know about you, but I don't know of any realtor that I do business with that I was their number 1 lender day one.
Never. I mean, you're always number 2.
I was number 2 or 3, but within a few months, sometimes a year, after giving them the service that blew their socks off every time, I became their number one. And answering your phone, that mindset of always being available when they need you is what it's all about. And you know what? You're right. The guys that are doing 4 million a year and they're like, I got parameters. Okay, well, great. Well, do your 4 million a year. You're not going to work for me. And, enjoy your income that you can make being a general manager at Walmart or something. Nothing against Walmart people, but
And I would even go to the next level with it. One of the things I've done is there are times that I am off the clock. Like I take my wife to Napa Valley. We're gone for a week. I will not answer my phone on a Napa Valley trip with my wife, but I'm never going to leave a real estate agent high and dry during that time. And so I would even before I had a team, I would partner with someone else in a branch and be like, hey, give me a referral fee on anybody you get in this week. I'm taking my wife out, but every person that calls me, what I would do is funny enough, and I hope realtors aren't watching this because you're going to get my trick, but I would reply. They would call and I would reply with a text, and I would manually type the text. I actually had it copied to my clipboard and just saved, and it brackets auto reply. And I would just very clearly state, hey, I'm out of town this week celebrating my wife's birthday in Napa Valley. Please reach out to my business partner, so-and-so. Here's their phone number. We look forward to serving you. I apologize I couldn't catch your call, but family is everything to me. I never lost a deal over that type of stuff. Never once. And you can't be afraid. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure you've done it as well. I would answer the phone at 8:00 at night. And I'd be like, hey, I'm actually out right now with my family. Would it be okay if I rang you back either first thing in the morning or when I get home tonight? And if you want to set parameters, go about it that way. Don't just ignore the phone call. Answer the phone and explain, hey, I'm just sitting down to dinner. Could I ring you back? There's not a single real estate agent on earth that you want to work with that would say, no, I need you to be on the phone right now. If they say that, you don't want to work with them anyways. No. But if you want to set parameters, answer the phone anyways and explain, hey, I'm on my way out to dinner with my daughter. She just came back in town from college. Is this something we need to chat with right now, or could I call you in the morning? At least answer the phone and give them the opportunity of, hey, I'm here, but I'm actually with my family. They're not going to call another lender if that's your answer. And you tell them, I will call you by 7:30 tomorrow morning. They're not calling another lender at 8:00 at night. They're good because you had the courtesy and respect to at least answer your phone and explain the situation.
Yeah. And if they say, hey, this is something that can't wait. Okay, great. I can do it. But it's rare. Like you said, it's rare. But there are times. I mean, they might be like, hey, I'm so sorry, Todd. I know it's 9:00 on a Sunday night, but these borrowers love this house, and the listing agents said offers are due by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and that's it. Okay, great. I'll stop one of them. But those are far and few between. Like you said,
they really are.
Usually I can say, hey, can I just call them in the morning or whatever, and it's fine.
Yeah. And when I was growing my business to that $100 million mark, I went nowhere without my laptop, ever. I'm on the boat with my family on a Sunday afternoon, pulling a tube with my kids on it. In the dry box, I've got my backpack with my laptop. Yeah. Because if that moment came at me where it was, I need you and I need you now, I'm going to be there for it. I'm going to park my boat. I'm going to take 15 minutes of my life, and I'm going to operate on that. And honestly, it made it kind of funny. And you probably dealt with the same thing. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays was like our date nights. And Tuesdays and Thursdays was our day that, hey, if wife and I want to go to lunch midday, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the day. But expect me Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to be available. But Tuesdays and Thursdays were always like the two slowest days of the week that I had the opportunity to go grab lunch with my wife and do extra things, because not a lot of real estate happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
No. My busiest 4 hours of my week was from 4 to 8 Sunday nights, because my realtors are out all weekend showing homes, and usually they huddle up with their buyers, usually midday on Sunday, and they decide, okay, this is the house we want to make an offer on. This is what we're going to offer. And that's when they're calling and say, hey, can you run some numbers? Or this was a stubborn buyer that refused to let their credit be pulled, but now they need an instant, pre-approval or something like that. So, I always that was my time block. I mean, I knew that from 4 to 8 on Sundays, I tried to be home and available, so, and if I wasn't home and available, I had my stuff with me, I could do it. It just, and when we say answer your damn phone, or I say it, understand it's not a phone. It's your emails, your text, your
Facebook
direct
Messenger.
messages. Yeah. It should be, instead of answer your damn phone, the definition of it for me is high level communications at a high rate of speed, and that's
Yeah.
the definition of answer your damn phone, being available.
And honestly, when you're growing your business, when you're at that, call it 10 million a year to 30 million a year, you're in that high growth stage. Like nothing should be off limits. If you really want to go to that 100 million mark, nothing's off limits. Like Super Bowl Sunday, you call me during the game, I'm taking your damn call. Like nothing's off limits if you really want to crush that 100 million. You won't get to the 100 million if things are off limits. But the beautiful thing is you will find yourself when you get to that point where you start to just naturally be selective. And you find, oh, Johnny, this particular real estate agent only calls me at 8 p.m. on Sunday and only sends me turndowns when his preferred lender won't do it. I'm not going to miss Johnny's business. Johnny, it's best we don't do business together. But until you get to that point, you don't have the liberty to do that. Yeah. But there is that threshold you'll cross, and you'll start to weed that stuff out, and you'll start to perfect the process, because you can only handle so many referral partners. So at some point, once you get to that threshold, you start ranking the referral partners you're working with on a scale of 1 to 10. And you're hopefully going to start replacing the 1s with 8s and a 2 with a 9, and start to really refine your process. And but that, to me, the 10 to $30 million growth pattern, nothing's off limits if you want to hit 100.
No. I had a rule and I like to say it was the $50 million rule, but I don't know when it really started, but it was somewhere around the time that I started consistently breaking 50 million, or maybe 35 to 40 million a year. But it was after I was pretty busy. I just decided I was no longer going to work with agents that were part-timers, and what I mean by that is if they brought me a customer, great, but I wasn't actively looking for those agents, and I didn't market to those agents. My thing was, if you're an agent and it's your hobby and you're really an engineer at Intel, but you like to play around with real estate on the side, there's somebody out there that'll do your deals, but I'm not going to actively pursue you, because you have to be available for me when I need you.
Correct.
My underwriters are not working Sundays and at night. So if I need something at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, I don't want to wait till 6 o'clock when you're off work to discuss it. But before I got to that stage, I would take every one of them agents, and actually, this is where I've had some disagreements with some other higher producers that said, well, but that guy that you help out when he's a new agent and he's struggling and he's a part-timer, someday he may be your top producer. I'm like, well, okay, but I just don't have the time anymore. And I didn't kick him to the curb. I would send him over and have one of the other guys that worked at our company do it, and the same thing I would do today if I was producing. I would find a loan officer that really needs more help in our company. And I would say, hey, here's a guy that's part-time. You might get 2 deals a year out of him, but it's 2 deals a year. I just don't have the capacity to work like that right now. And that's kind of like you're ranking your agents, get rid of the 2s with the 8s,
Yeah. And you don't make that decision when you're doing 15 million a year. No. You're taking everything that is coming at you and you're running with it. And you can't get selective early, but there comes a threshold where you can. And so, people who are out there watching this and saying, I want to get to that point, take everything, answer everything, respond everything. Go to your Facebook Messenger and check your message requests folder 3 times a day. Literally, I have an alarm on my phone that rings 3 times a day to check the message request. I checked it this morning. A client had messaged me at 10 o'clock last night. It went to my message request folder because we're not friends. Hey, so-and-so referred you over to me. I need to get a USDA loan. Today, we're pre-approved.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have checked message requests for a week, I would have lost the deal over it. So you got to just be religious about these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody needs to come up with an app that like will funnel everything you have into one message group. I mean, that would be like insane. If I could get everything to show up that's on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, everybody that reaches out to me on everything and pops up on one app, that would be fantastic. In fact, maybe that's our next $100 million project. You
You just put it out to the whole world. There's some
I know
some in
techie
Silicon
nerd
Valley
like
watching right now that's like, got it.
yeah, I'll see it go public for 10 billion and in a year from now. But no, I mean that's probably a pain point though, is like you said, you got to keep track of it all. I mean, I don't want to be on Instagram, but I have to check it every day just to make sure that there's no messages sitting there waiting on me. I'm not a big Instagram fan, still got to look at it because I'm on there. One other thing that, not to change the subject, but I wanted to touch on this because it came up last night. And again, when we say this is unscripted, me and Andrew, we don't even talk about this show until we log into it today. So,
We haven't talked to each other since the last show.
yeah, exactly. But last night I was thinking about this because I'm in a group of friends that we all text almost every day with each other. We all talk, we share ideas, we share a lot of goofy stuff too. But everybody in that group will, like, some days when they're having a rough day, will say, I hate mortgages, and it's a joke. It is a joke. And some of them are watching right now and they know what I'm talking about. It's a big joke. Like, I hate mortgages, or I can't, things like that. It's a joke. You know what? I realized I've never, ever said that in that group, even joking. And we're tight friends. Like, we share way too many intimate details with each other because we're tight friends. But I realized it last night because somebody said they hated mortgages in there. And they do it. Again, it's an ongoing joke for years now. But I realized it last night. Like, holy crap, I've never, ever jumped on that joke bandwagon because I love mortgages. I love what I do. I can't disrespect what I do by joking and saying I hate it. That would be like my wife aggravate me and saying, I hate my wife. I would never do that. It's disrespectful to her. And don't get me wrong. You guys are watching. They're in my group. I'm not making fun of you guys. I'm just saying it's just my mindset, because they'll have a lot to say about my mindset that's off camera. So, but it's just like, I love what I do. And I went, since we only got a couple minutes, I just wanted to touch on this. I mean, if you don't love this business, you're going to struggle with this business.
Agreed.
And I think it's like anything you do. I mean, if Michael Jordan didn't love basketball, he wouldn't have been successful.
It'll never
when
be
he got and when he got burnt out on basketball, he went to try baseball because he loved it. Found out real quick that basketball is where he belonged, But you got to love it. I mean, because you're not going to devote the hours and the blood, the sweat, the tears, the virtual blood, sweat, and tears. You're not going to devote that time. You're going to be that guy that says, well, I'm not available on weekends. I'm doing fun stuff instead of working. Well, you probably don't love what you do then, And I'm sure, Andrew, I'm sure you love what you do.
Yes. And it's the same concept. I'm part of all these mortgage groups, and I see people call real estate agents, they call them real turds. And to me, I'm just like, these people are referring you. If you're doing $100 million a year, there's a good probability you're making $1 million plus a year in income. I will be a professional doormat to make $1 million a year in income. Do you realize how hard? Do you realize doctors go to school for 10,000 hours and become a pediatric neurosurgeon to make 60% of that? And you're gonna get frustrated because a real turd calls you at 9 o'clock at night? Well, guess what? That doctor that makes 60% of what you do just got called in to try and save a 10-month-old from having a brain aneurysm. And you think you're stressed out? Cut it out. Like, it's all a mindset game.
I'm in a group on Facebook called I think it's New Loan Officers or something. I don't know. I'm in so many groups. So it's a New Loan Officers group. And somebody in there posted, how do you deal with the stress when you get to 5 loans a month? And I made a comment. And if you're watching, the person that wrote it, I didn't mean that to be disrespectful, but my comment was, LOL, 5 loans a month. Get to where you're averaging 27 with no assistant or processor, and then I'll tell you what stress is. And I didn't mean that. I read it back this morning. I thought, man, I sounded kind of cocky and assholey to them, but But it's the truth. If you're stressed out 5 loans a month, you need to rework your schedule. You need to restructure your day.
Find a new company.
And honestly, stress is the guy that's got 0 loans a month that might not be able to pay his house payment this month. Be happy you got 5 loans a month. That's not stress. That's not
Agreed.
stress.
And look at that. There's 30 minutes of our life.
Oh, yeah.
Goes fast when you're having fun.
These things do go fast. So, well, and I have another thing to jump on here, but we will end it here. I'll let Andrew finish it. But guys, you know what I'm gonna tell you: answer your damn phone.
And I'm gonna say the same thing: answer your damn phone. If you want to go to that next level, it takes an extreme level of dedication. It takes a level of dedication that you're not at right now at 10 million. And so, if you think you've got the dedication to get to 100 million, I'm just gonna be honest. If you're at 10 million, you don't have it yet. Go out and read the book Relentless. Go out and read Miracle Morning. Go out and read things that are actually going to put some different perspective in your mind, because what got you from 0 to 10 will not take you from 10 to 100. That's all I got today.
Yeah. Oh, real quick too. So Anthony sent me this book, and it's my homework to read. I took the cover off of it because I hate these covers, but it's written. I'm about halfway through it. It's a little cheesy in how it's written. But the message is exactly how I've lived my life with my professional life over the last few years. So it's an older book. Go out and find it. It's all about how you create a customer for life. And I can't recommend it enough. It is a little cheesy though, the way it's written, but
I'm going to grab this book off my shelf. Here's one of my go-tos right here. Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to focus. Rhinoceros Success.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Super thin, short, 2-hour read.
That's me. It has to be short. It has to be easy. But yeah, go out there, make yourself better every day. If you're watching this and you're not part of our UMortgage family and you're struggling, give us a call. We've got some killer processes here that can help you guys out. So, and I'm always open if anybody has any questions, but otherwise, everybody have a great weekend. Remember, today's Friday. Today's the day you should be reaching out to all your agents and saying, I work when you work and I'm available this weekend.
And I answer my damn phone. Take care.
See you next week, guys.